Bernie Williams, your number 51, hangs permanently in Monument Park. Of course, a Yankees icon. I appreciate you joining us today to talk through something I know that's near and dear to your heart. To start us off, you are back at Yankee Stadium on September 5th with Boehringer Ingelheim to celebrate the one-year anniversary of Tune Into Lung Health. I'd love to know what's going on at the stadium to mark that anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great thing. I'm going to have the opportunity to play the national anthem with my guitar, have my little instrumental version of a Star Spangled Banner, and all for a great cause, just to raise awareness about interstitial lung disease, which my dad died in 2001 from idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is one of the most common forms of interstitial lung disease. So we teamed up with Boehringer Ingelheim, as you said, to form Tune Into Lung Health, which is a website that is a program designed to utilize the power of music to raise awareness about interstitial lung disease. So thank you so much for letting me put that in.
Of course. Man, this Yankee season, the season that you'll be watching next week is I don't know, Bernie. It's not what we expected. If you could compare this season to a guitar solo, what would it sound like?
Oh my God. Well, I would say, there's no guitar solo that I can compare to this. Will be like a no-show, somebody breaking a string or something. Not very ideal.
We did just get a piece of good news, though. I mean, they're going with the youth movement. So Jason Domínguez is coming up. Everson Pereira is already up. These are players who hopefully will be a big part of the Yankees outfield of the future. They're debuting at the end of kind of a strange season, a strange period in the franchise's history. You debut in the outfield in 1991, kind of in a similar circumstance. What advice would you give to players who are making their Yankee debut, finally putting on the pinstripes at the end of what some would call a lost season, but it's so much more important to them?
Well, I think in hindsight, it was probably one of the best situations that I could ever have. Because it allowed me the opportunity to grow into the player that I became, just going through some growing pains, and the team still have the patience to let me struggle, before I became the player that I became. There's a lot of people that grew up and started playing in the years that we were very successful, where the expectations were really, really harsh. They expected, guys like Ricky Leday and Robinson Cano and all those guys to perform right from the get-go, without giving them a lot of time to acclimate and really feel like they belong in the big leagues. Ricky got traded, and Robinson had a very successful time, but still, it felt like there were not a lot of patience, put in those guys. I think that these young players are going to have the opportunity to take a hold of their positions, and it's up for the taking. Now, like I felt in '91, they gave me center field, for me to lose, and I think a lot of these positions are going to be open for whoever wants it the most and whoever is able to perform to their best of their abilities to be a mainstay in the lineup of the Yankees, which is going to be a great thing for them.
Now, they called Jason Domínguez the Martian, so I want to get you on this first. People are talking about maybe an area like the Judges' Chambers that's Area 51, two center fielders, you and Jason. Would you be open to that collaboration?
Of course, man. I think it's just a nice little game of words, and I think it's always going to be incumbent upon them to perform. Once you're performing on the field and you're having a lot of fun and you're having a lot of success, all of that stuff that comes, with it, it falls right into it. But I think the main thing is just to take care of business on the field.
This team has struggled in that respect, and I'd love to get your opinion on this. I mean, your Yankees locker room had a captain in Derek Jeter, who's a superstar, who is, on the front and back pages. But a lot of people gave Jorge Posada a lot of credit, too, for sort of being the enforcer, like next to the captain, or at least that's how a lot of us perceived that locker room. Aaron Judge, freshly minted captain this year, but I think some of us are looking at this team wondering, does he have that guy by his side with that killer instinct? Like, how does this, do you think he needs something like that? Do you think that perception is accurate?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if the perception of Jorge being the enforcer was completely accurate. I think, I attribute a lot of this, having a stable clubhouse more to the fact that we surrounded ourselves with a lot of veterans. Guys like Wade Boggs and Chili Davis and Rock Reigns, David Cohn, people that were like just about to be in the twilight of their career, but still had a lot left in their tank. And they were able to sort of stabilize that clubhouse in a way that, Derek was the front man, the face of the franchise and the captain. Jorge was very passionate, and so was Paul O'Neill. But everybody was somewhere in between, in that sort of fashion of being very businesslike on the field and showing emotion when it was granted to show emotion, and just be like a well-oiled, synchronized machine, man. Everybody knew their job, everybody knew their role, and we really bought into this sort of team, over the individual kind of attitude, and that made us really successful.
Andy Pettitte just rejoined the team as a special advisor in some capacity. Obviously, you're coming back, in a few days to, play the anthem. Do you feel like these current Yankees are doing a pretty good job now of embracing your generation and figuring out a way to bridge that gap as they move into another iteration of this current team? A lot of turnover, probably a lot of roster turnover coming this offseason. Feels like as good a time as any to keep embracing your championship mentality.
Well, I think every time you have an opportunity to maybe just pick the brains of guys that were our teammates in the 90s. I mean, we had a really good run, and that left us with like a really valuable experience pool of ideas, memories, and attitudes and approaches that it really made us really successful. So I think it will be really kind of a no-brainer to try to get more of these guys, to be in the team and to be consultants, and just to share some of that knowledge and some of those experiences, because the game changes, from generation to generation, but the essence of the game hopefully is the same. You still have to pitch, you still have to hit, you still have to run the bases, you still have to perform on the field. And I think a lot of these mental approaches to the game that we had back in those days, granted that is a different game, people nowadays, I mean, you get guys that maybe 60 to 70% of the pitching staff throws in the upper 90s, and you got guys that are stronger and faster. So, the game has changed a little bit, but I think that the essence of the game, the way that you approach it on a daily basis, hasn't really changed that much. You still need to be prepared. And I think we, as that generation in the 90s had it down. We had it down, had a down path, pretty well. So I think it will be really interesting. And I think, a lot of these guys will be more than willing to lend their expertise and show and contribute with their ideas, to the benefit of the organization.
Hey, there might be more guys throwing upper 90s now, but your generation had Rod Beck, and you still took him deep to dead center to walk off an ALCS game. So don't sell yourself short at hitting that 99-mile-an-hour cheddar.
Oh yeah, man. But I know it is. You got to give these guys credit. The game, I think, in many ways, with all the advent of these new rules and changes, with the speed clock and time constraints and the bases and the shift, no shift, and all that stuff has sort of, taken the game into a different direction. And these guys have to adjust, and they have to make the best out of the opportunity so they can be successful. So every generation and every era has its little, particular things that everybody has to deal with. So this generation is no different.
Looking back on your career, in the past few years, the tide has begun to turn a little bit in the Hall of Fame conversation. People are looking at you more. People are looking at Kenny Lofton, Jim Edmonds more. Center fielders from your generation are getting a lot of love. Have you let that change your perception of? Are you thinking about the Hall of Fame a little more, or is it still for you kind of like, hey, if it happens, it's great, but I know I had a fantastic career?
Yeah, I think I'd go with the latter. I think, if it happens, it's great, and I would never sort of downplay it. It'll be an awesome honor. It'll be a great thing, probably the greatest thing that would probably ever happen in my career. But with that said, I mean, it was a really crazy, great time, to spend, with those guys in the 90s, and being part of going into 6, World Series and coming out with 4 championships. And then, the guys did it again in 09. It was a great run, and I had so many great memories, not only on the field but off the field, and being part of that 9/11 sort of movement to try to heal the nation. I think so many great moments that we had as a team and as an organization, that from an individual basis, being in the Hall of Fame would just be the icing on the cake, but just a great icing. Absolutely.
Have you been back to Cooperstown a few times for your other teammates' inductions? Did you go for Derek and Mo, or no?
Yeah, I was able to go and be actually a participant in the ceremonies. I play the anthem in both ceremonies, and I got a chance to play "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" for I believe it was Mariano's induction, which I did a little bit of Enter the Sandman introduction before playing the Take Me Out to the Ball Game, which to the delight of the 20,000 fans that were there.
You're just like me. I mean, I think playing Enter Sandman is the first thing I did when I got my guitar too. I'm like 1/3000th as good as you, but that's the first riff you play. You're like, I gotta play it.
Great riff, man. That's a great riff.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, great. Yeah, I gotta look that up. Well, you'll be back at Yankee Stadium again September 5th to play that anthem on behalf of Boehringer Ingelheim. Again, we're marking the 1 year into this journey. Before we go, just what is sort of the thing you're the proudest of that you've managed and been able to accomplish already through this partnership?
Well, I think we have been able to reach a lot of people. I think that going through what I went through with my father and his disease, and getting him properly diagnosed, and having that experience, it profoundly changed my life and my family's life. I did not want anybody else to go through, what I went through and what we went through as a family. So I think this is a great step, trying to raise awareness about these, which, kind of quote unquote rare diseases, but they're more common than people may think. And I think having the opportunity to educate the community, as far as interstitial lung diseases, it goes a great deal. There's a lot of people suffering from these type of diseases, and I think education is key. So again, tune into lunghealth.com for people to come in and enjoy the website. Have a lot of great material and content, playlists of some of my favorite tunes, vocalization exercises for people that may have trouble breathing, and just accounts from patients and doctors and caretakers and caregivers. And it's a really well put together website. So tune into lunghealth.com. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about interstitial lung disease with you.
Of course. Thank you so much for all the hard work you've done, Bernie. Looking forward to seeing you at the stadium on September 5th. And then hopefully again, like you said, plenty of times in the years to come as the Yankees look to get back and recapture your dominance.
We hope so. We hope so. All the best.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.